Good morning guys, and welcome to part 29. I think this is of the Great Farm cleanup. It's a nice morning. It's a little cooler this morning, but it's going to warm up. Beautiful day, actually sunny, no wind. So I'm going to get into a few jobs. I've got to take a trailer load, which is right next to me here, of rubbish out to the local tip. And we're going to then probably reload the trailer with just a lot of light pressing steel and wire and tin that I can then take to the tip next time I'm home to clean all that up. No one uses the Uten trailer between my visits, so it'll be fine to have it partially loaded. I want to go down the lane shortly and have a look at some of the old binders, see if we can rescue some of the wheels. We have a lot of other jobs to do. We're going to see Dad again today. There's people picking up more stuff, so another busy day. Better get into it. Now I believe we have a little more maintenance to do. Mum tells me one of these taps here, this tap is dripping. It's drooping quite a lot. Now the water's coming out from around the top there. It's actually coming out from the spindle. So we might have to take the top off that tap. And it's rather ironic that we have to repair a tap, and yet we pulled so many out of the shed. Although I didn't send all the good ones for scrap. I have been selling them through the shop, but hopefully we can fix this one up. So I'll have to turn the mains off. Well, we don't have mains water here. There'll be a pump somewhere I'll have to turn off, and we'll take the top out of that and see if we can fix it. Now, in case we can't fix that other tap, Mum tells me there's one here under these trees that's been disconnected and no longer used, so we might try and rescue that tap. It'll be easier just to swap taps rather than trying to find fibre washers and tap washers and things. That one feels like it'll be okay. So hopefully that undoes. It should undo all right. It's got Teflon tape on there. More the challenge will be getting the other one off. So if we can do that, we'll just do a straight swap. Okay, I've got the heavy artillery out for this. We should be able to undo this fairly easy with these big Stiltons. And we'll use these other ones to try and steady the pole. And how are we going to go there? Easy. Jobs are easy when you have the right tools. Okay, there we go. Bit mucky, possibly a spider, but it should be a good tap. Okay, I've just talked to Ross, and we think the water from this actually comes off a main pipeline supply down the front road. It doesn't come off a pressure pump. And rather than going to find the mains tap, I'm going to try and do it live, so to speak. Oh, it's actually loose down the bottom too. Alright, could be leaking down there and the poly pipe down the bottom. But what I'm going to do with the tap is I'll disconnect this timer. Oh, if I can, it's a bit tight. We'll get the hose off first. Gonna have to get some pliers for that, it's a bit too tight. Okay, we'll undo this timer. That was very tight for a plastic fitting. Okay, and the noise in the background is the chooks. They're coming over to the corner to see what I'm doing. Alright, we'll tighten all the bottom up later. It's not leaking too much. And I'm going to undo this tap. First I'll loosen it off. Remember, we still have full water pressure here. I'll see if I can loosen it out of this pipe. Again, it's got Teflon tape, so it shouldn't be too bad. It's a bit hard to hold this tap because I can't get to the other side of it very well. Let's see if it undoes. Yes, excellent. Alright, we'll loosen it off, but not completely take it off. Alright, now, before I take that off completely, I'm going to find another tap on this same water line, and we'll turn that one on to release the pressure. Okay, this tap here is on the same pipe, so we'll leave that one flowing for a bit. It doesn't matter if it floods a little bit here. Now we'll see if we can do a tap swap without getting too wet. Stand back. That's manageable. Alright, we'll turn that on just in case there was a big spider in there and flush him out. Appears to be okay, unless of course he loves water. Alright, we'll tighten this up. In fact, we'll turn the other tap off now. We don't need that one on. Oh look, we did it so quick we barely spilled a drop. Okay, that's good. We probably should have put a bit more Teflon tape around this, but I think it'll be okay. That doesn't appear to be leaking at all. Fantastic. Should have full pressure now. Yep. We might get those spider webs out of there though. Otherwise they'll block up the timer. The tap washer's not sealing off completely. That'll take up, I think. It's probably been dry for a long time. Besides, the timer's actually got a stop in it anyway. There we go, that's pretty good I think. And I just have to tighten up these poly fittings that are a little bit loose down below. And we'll move the concrete block back there, and we'll check it later to make sure it's nice and dry. So I've come down to the machinery graveyard this morning, and this is where we've been selling a lot of the old rusty steel posts, or star pickets as some people call them. So that's been good. We've got rid of a big pile there, better than scrap money. There's lots of other stuff here. The drums I don't think I'll worry about trying to sell. They've got holes in them and they haven't had the tops cut out anyway. I do have someone coming to pick up some drums shortly, which is good. Now I talked about these old binders. Here's some relics of them down here, and I'm going to try and salvage some of the big drive wheels off them. So this one here has been tipped upside down, so we've got good access to the drive wheel. They're very heavy, but they're relatively easy to detach from the machinery. So I brought my grinder down. I'm not going to cut through anything major. I do have to be careful of sparks. Although there's no dried grass under here, the sheep have pretty well bared it all out. And even the paddocks are very short, there's not much growth at all. The chain itself, the drive chain, this square link drive chain actually sells quite well. So I might just try and cut through that first and see if I can get that off. And then I think it's just a matter of nicking through these brackets, and the whole wheel should just about roll out somehow. It might be a bit of a challenge. Maybe I might have to cut the brackets and then get the tractor and roll this thing back the other way. Not sure. If it's too much trouble, I'm not going to worry about it. But I can get about $120 per wheel, so it's worth a little bit of effort. And we also want actually to put one in our garden at home. It's just gone 1 o'clock, time to get rid of the rubbish. It's later in the afternoon now. We have unloaded the rubbish and I've backed the trailer in here, and we're loading up with some just messy scrap metal to go to the transfer station next time I'm home. It's given me a chance to clean up the pile I had outside the door of the workshop, and also I've started rummaging over in this corner. There's a bit of timber that's useful. There's a bit of timber that will probably have to be put aside for a bonfire next year, now that it's got too hot for bonfires this year. There's some old doors and things that might be okay. I'm pulling out a few garden tools and things, including a steel post driver, affectionately known as a whack-whack for obvious reasons if you've ever used one. I haven't done much in the shed this trip because, well, it's been a bit hot, and also I haven't really had time. So these are the drums and crates that I've packed previously. I'm not going to load them in the van. I have started cleaning off this cabinet, and there's some other bits of stuff over there that I'll probably take. There's stuff in that corner cabinet as well I'll have to get to next time. So I haven't done much in the shed really this time. It's been a bit warm and we've had other things to do. We spent about 2 or 3 hours over talking to Dad this afternoon, and just working through some issues there. He's quite, well, to be honest, he's struggling. He's feeling a bit depressed, as you would be, sort of essentially lying on your deathbed. There's no beating around the bush, and he's in a lot of pain. So we've been talking with the nurses and specialists about our next course of action there, and including Dad in the conversations, because he's certainly still very with it mentally. So I've only got a little bit more in the workshop done here, so really not much to report. The evenings sometimes, or early mornings, is the best time to get in here because it's cool. I've got most of the stuff off the rafters. I did drag a few more things down this time. So yeah, we're getting there, but not a lot to take back this trip, mainly because I've been busy with other stuff. I am pleased to get rid of the trailer full of rubbish, and I am pleased to have done a few maintenance jobs for Mum. The next thing to start after the workshop, but I have already done a little bit in here, is Mum's, affectionately known as Mum's shed, which for whatever reasons is about twice the size of Dad's shed. We won't go into that. So there's a lot of stuff in here to sort through. I've been getting things off the top of the wardrobes. Just a lot of it's just empty boxes and stuff that can go in the recycling. These wardrobes themselves are of no value, and once I get them emptied, I think I might try and give them away on Facebook Marketplace, because sometimes they're handy for shed storage as they're actually being used here. If we can't give them away, I'll probably just take the hardware and any useful bits off them, and we will have to have a large bonfire next year when it cools down after summer. That's a 60s sort of retro buffet sideboard. I can actually remember that being in the house, and that's quite saleable. It's a little rough, and it's got gemstones and all sorts of stuff in there which we can sell. So that won't be burned or given away. I'll probably make room in the shop for that at some stage. I mentioned in my last video about rolling up paper into logs. Here's stacks of old newspaper torn in half, and under this plastic is just a little rolling machine. And I don't know if there's any here that are completed. No, they must have all gone into the house, but they do burn very well on the kitchen stove. So, you know, there's recycling your own newspapers into heat, and also in the stove. The stove provides hot water for the house, so heat and hot water from newspapers. So there's a lot of rocks and gemstones in this shed that we've got to go through, and that will take a lot of time. It's quite dark in here. I should have turned a light on. Hang on. That's a bit better. So there's some nice old shelves up on the wall that I used to have in my small engine shop many years ago. They're nice shelves. They're real timber, probably out of an old general store. There's lots of benches and Dad's golf sticks we're going to have to do something with. I might try and put them in the van this time. And there's a lot of other rock working equipment that Mum and Dad have been into over the years. Diamond tipped saw for cutting rocks in half, and there's, I think I showed a little polishing thingo that was operating last time. So anyway, we won't dally around in this shed too much, although many of you may not have seen Mum's rock collection here, or Mum and Dad. They've been into gemstones most of their life, and if we can avoid the reflections, there's some really nice gemstones in here. Amethysts and quartz and lots of gemstones and rocks that I don't actually know what they're called. Some of these will have quite a bit of value. I think I may have featured these in another video, but bad luck, you're getting it again. But it does give you an idea of a lot of the stuff we've got to pack up and move. And if Mum does settle in Nagambie and is still able to, she would enjoy setting up a shed and getting back into her gemstones. There's some really nice examples of agate here, cut and polished thunder eggs, and all sorts of other gemstones and mineral samples. And the cabinet itself is a nice cabinet. And those of you that watched my shop clean out towards the end when I had to move from my old shop, I did actually have a very similar cabinet that we ended up selling for about $700, which I thought was cheap, but I had to move it quickly. I don't know what we're going to do with this one. I don't fancy taking it back to Nagambie. We don't have room for it in our shop, so I might have to try and market it over here. I didn't get back to fixing the other ride-on mower, the Greenfield. I might try and do that next time, although there's not much of a use for the ride-on mowers now that everything's dried off a lot. There's some farm stuff in the back corner to sort out. This caravan, it's a Viscount, probably late 1970s, I'm guessing. We did have some family holidays in that when I was younger. It used to belong to an uncle, and it ended up out here. It's still in quite good condition. It's always been shedded, and we will be selling that at some stage. Big heavy thing to tow, but they were a pretty good van. There's also a golf cart here which belongs to Dad's brother, and well, I think Dad and his brother went halves in it. There's a trailer, and I think the cart itself has been donated to the local golf club. I think that's what's the go with it, so that's great. They will have a use for it out there. Not sure what we'll do with the trailer, because I don't think the golf club will want the trailer. We'll probably sell that at some stage. And in the back of this shed, I don't think I've ever taken you in here, there's a few old fridges which are a bit of a pain. They're going to cost us to get rid of. They've just been used as storage. A little bit more random timber and scrap metal and just other bits and pieces. Here's an old Victor utility lawnmower. Now these are a classic old mower. I remember Dad purchased this at a clearing sale at an auction for $7, and it's been a beast. They're a great mower. They'll go anywhere. You can slash down high weeds with them because they've just got a flat deck. They're quite dangerous. The blades are only just under the edge all the way around, but geez, they can handle some stuff. In fact, I remember hearing a story of a guy that used to have one of these. They're a little two-stroke, and he used to live on a block with a steep decline at the back that went down to a creek, and it was overgrown with blackberries, and he used to tie a rope to his mower and throw it off and then drag it back up through the blackberries, and the thing would just whir away, and it's amazing what they can do. So anyway, that's a bit by the by. So we've got a lot of stuff to clean out over here too. At least the yard's looking great. Every time I get a bit overwhelmed with the cleanup, I go back and look at the spots that I've already done, and it just helps reinforce that you are actually getting somewhere. Now, we had some great success with Facebook this week. Now, I don't know if there's something in the air this week, as maybe the planets have aligned or something weird, but every single person on Facebook that contacted me and says, yes, I'll take that, I'll be there at 2 o'clock, or yes, I'll come out, you know, at 8 in the morning. Every single person turned up on time, paid their cash, got their goodies, all the fencing wires gone. That was fantastic. We even got rid of 2 drums today. And down here, all the steel posts, there's some chain fencing wire. It's all gone. We've got quite a pile of cash inside, really, from rubbishy stuff. Well, there was a couple of good rolls of wire that I'm taking back to Nagambie, but otherwise, very successful Facebook marketing this week. It's been fantastic. Okay, it got a bit hot down here earlier, so we're back to this old binder. We're just, the sun's just going down and it's a bit cooler. I've just cut through this chain and I've undone some of the bolts on the brackets. I don't know how I'm going to go getting the wheel out because it does have a long shaft here, which was the actual height adjust for the wheel. So it's a little bit involved, but at least I can get the chain off, and that will be a good one to take back. And I'm just going to have to undo a few more bolts and see if I can get the wheel. It does actually turn, but I'm not going to be able to lift it up out of that bracket how it is. Okay, I'm going to call it quits on this wheel for now. I'm running out of time. I have to go and load the van. We're leaving early in the morning. I don't need to take it back now, and this stuff along the graveyard here can sit here until next year. There's no urgency to get rid of it. It's just when I finish getting stuff, I'll call the scrappy and he'll come and clean it all up. So no urgency, and it might be better in the cooler months next year when I can maybe get an oxy set here, or at least grind away without any worry about starting a fire. I've got this side, I actually unbolted the bracket, and the whole wheel is relatively loose, but I couldn't get to the bottom bolts on this side very easily, and I'm not about to crawl under it at the moment. And even if I do get the brackets off, I'm not going to be able to lift the wheel out of the frame that it's in. So it might be a matter of just undoing the bolts on this shaft and the end bracket and then kind of rolling the wheel out. Now the bolts undo really easily. They're all the old-fashioned square nuts, and I think they treated the threads with a lead or something, because they do, once you crack them, they do undo really easily. And most times the heads are actually like a coach bolt. They go through a square slot, so you only have to undo the one end. You don't have to hold both ends. So for a very old piece of rusty metal that's been in the weather for decades, it actually undoes very easily. So I think the wheels are worth getting. I have got the chain off. That was really easy to do, and that will be, you know, probably $10 worth or something. And the wheels I'll perhaps aim for another time. There is a transport wheel on the end of this one. Oh, sorry, it's not the transport wheel, it's the outrigger wheel, I think they call it. And that's in good condition. And usually it's only a split pin and a big castle nut to undo when they come off. So, and I get about $75 for those wheels. So I'll certainly won't be sending them for scrap. But I think as far as this trip goes, we'll leave them for now as the sun's going down on another adventure at the farm. So thanks for watching again, guys. another episode complete. Only 2 episodes for this trip. And what was this? Part 30, part 29? I can't keep track. You guys read the title. So for myself and Coco, we say thanks for coming along for another adventure with us, and we'll be hitting the road early in the morning, getting back to the shop and seeing Christine. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.